Hey guys, this is Abhishek Obhad from Triathlon Made Easy, and today we are going to talk about something which is very fundamental in cycling. Now, before I talk about that, I want you guys now to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down there. Moving on. Today we are going to talk about a concept in cycling called as cadence. Cadence is a measure of how fast you are spinning the pedals, and it's measured in RPM, which is rotations per minute. Now, cadence is not a very cycling specific measure. We use cadence in running as well. In running, we call it as SPM, which is steps per minute. And cycling cadence is calculated as the number of times you rotate a pedal in a minute. Whereas the running cadence is calculated as the number of steps that you take in a minute. And generally, a cadence of 100 in cycling is equal to a cadence of 200 in running. So there are two ways to calculate cadence. One is the manual way, which is a very primitive way. In this method, what we do is we manually count the number of pedal strokes the rider is doing either on his right leg or his left leg for 6 seconds, and then we multiply it by 10. Now, this method is very useful in ultra cycling when if I am in the crew and if my rider is riding in front of the car, I can quickly have a look and understand what is the approx cadence my rider is riding. And the other way, the other most common way is by using a cadence sensor. Now, this is what a cadence sensor looks like. It's a small little piece which gets attached to your left crankset, and it calculates cadence very accurately, and it sends it to either your Garmin watch or your bike computer. And I'm attaching a link of what a cadence, for those of you who are very new to this, let me attach a link of these gadgets and how the cadence sensor looks like, so that you can purchase it yourself. Now, the next question which is in front of us is, what is my optimum cadence? Like, what is the cadence that I should ride with? Now, to answer that question, you must first understand the human anatomy and what are the physical systems that are powering your body. Only then we'll be able to understand what is the right cadence that we should ride with.
There are two major systems in your body. One is the cardiovascular system, and the other is the muscular system. So, the cardiovascular system consists of your heart, your blood vessels, and your blood, and the muscular system consists of uh, your skeletal muscles. Now, whatever performance which comes from the cardio system, we can call it as cardiovascular endurance, and whatever comes out of your muscular system, we call it as the muscular endurance. Now, cardiovascular endurance is basically how fit your heart is, and how fit it is, and how effective or efficient your heart is in pumping blood and oxygen to different parts of your body. Now compare this with muscular endurance. Now, muscular endurance is the ability of your muscles to do several repetitive movements over time. Now, the one of the major parts to note about these systems is that the cardiovascular system is fatigue resistant. So even if it gets tired out, it can recover again. Now, as compared to the muscular endurance is very susceptible to fatigue. So, if you fatigue your muscles a few times, they will not be able to perform again. Moving on. Now, your muscle fibers are made up of two different types of muscle fibers. They are slow twitch fibers and the fast twitch fibers. Now, slow twitch fibers are what we need in endurance sports, and they are meant to do a small load of work over a longer period of time. And they are as opposed to the fast twitch muscles, which can lift bigger loads or which can do a big amount of, they can lift a big amount of weight, but only for a short time. Now, let us compare what happens to these systems when we ride at different cadences. Okay, so one look at this, and you will understand that in order to succeed at a long distance event, in order to succeed at the Ironman or the 70.3 or a BRM, you need to have a very robust cardiovascular endurance and a need to use your slow twitch fibers more than your fast twitch ones. Now let's compare what is happening to our bodies when we pedal at a lower cadence versus when we pedal at a high cadence. So when we are pedaling at cadences which are lesser than 80, our muscular system, which is much more prone to fatigue, is stressed more. And when we are pedaling above 100, we are stressing our cardiovascular system more than the muscular system. Also, one other fact that we have to keep in mind is when we are pedaling at lower cadences, we are actually pushing more torque to produce that same amount of power. So here we recruit fast twitch muscle fibers. On the other hand, when we spin above 100, we are recruiting slow twitch muscle fibers. So, so your optimum cadence is somewhere between 80 and 100. And there is considerable research which tells us that the ideal number is somewhere closer to 90. And this is the number for all practical purposes. This is the number that we are going to stick to, and we are going to try and increase our cadence up to 90.
Most of the riders that I've met ride at cadences which are much lesser than 90. Ideally, you should be riding at a cadence of 90 RPM and then changing your gears as and when suitable. If you cannot maintain 90 RPM on a flat road, most likely you're riding a very big gear and you should shift down. So, that being said, here are 4 tips that you can use to get your cadence up high. Number one, compact group sets. So if you're in the process of buying your very first road bike, ensure that you buy a compact group set. Now, what I mean by compact group set is a 50-30-40 crankset at the front and 11-32 cassette at the back. And this is applicable if you're buying a new bike or in case you're in the process of upgrading your group set. So make sure you end up buying a compact group set. Number two, if you're stuck with a standard group set, what you can now do is deliberately ride smaller gears. You can either ride a bigger cassette at the back, or as we say in the cycling world, swallow your ego and ride the smaller chain set ahead. This will ensure that the torque that you produce is much lesser and you are able to spin the pedals nice and easy. Number three, use cleats. The cleat system of the pedal attaching to your shoe will actually smoothen your pedal stroke, and it also irons out the dead spots in your pedal stroke, making you spin faster and more effectively. I'm going to do a separate video on the use of cleats, but using cleats is one of the best ways that you can get your cadence up high. Number four, training and cadence drills. Now, training is a short way of improving your cadence and thereby improving your cycling performance. So, the whole aim of training is to get your cadence up high, slowly and steadily, so that your riding pattern isn't disturbed at all. And once your cadence is up from, let's say, if today you're riding at 70, and with regular training you can get it up to 80, 85. Now once you're at 85, you can do specific cadence drills where you are actually riding at a cadence of around 100 or 105. And when you do these regularly, your legs get accustomed to spinning the pedals at around 90, 95 with ease. So what once seemed very difficult to achieve becomes a routine once you start training well. That's it from me. This is Abhishek Award from Triathlon Made Easy. Keep running, keep swimming, keep cycling, and most important, keep trying. Thank you.